Secretary Samuel Anyanwu affirming the leadership of Sir Tanimu Turaki as a legitimate chairman. These often leads to factionalization, defection, and instability, which hinders democratic consolidation and opposition strength. As some Nigerian political parties face recurring issues manifesting as media wars, court cases, and violence requiring adherence to rules, internal reforms, and focus on party principles for stability. Nigeria today will be exploring the escalating inter-party crisis, threatening to unravel the fabric of the nation, from heated rhetoric to bitter disputes among major parties. Join us as we bring the latest developments, insightful analysis, and expert opinion on the implications for Nigeria's future democracy. Thanks for joining us on the program. I am Eucharia Clinton. Now with me in the studio to talk about the inter-party crisis is Yusuf Maman Dantale. He's the National Chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria today.
Good evening, my dear sister, and Happy New Year once again. Yeah.
Happy New Year to you, sir.
Thank you.
And also joining us via Zoom is Jide Uchu, is a public affairs analyst. It's a pleasure to have you, Jide, on Nigeria today.
Okay, it's my pleasure too. Good evening, Happy New Day.
Jide, of course, you had the introduction. We've been having a recurring crisis in our parties. The latest being that of the Labour Party, and of course, we've had that of the PDP. So, the question that I would love to start with is why do we have these kinds of recurring crises in our parties?
The truth is that there is no way you will not have disagreements or squabbles in a multi-party system. Because you have different individuals, people who are strange bedfellows coming together, and the whole essence of joining a political party is, unlike other associations, there is always a motive to join a political party. And the motive is either to contest for power or to seek certain privileges or opportunities. Now, when you join, there are people within the party who are going to be in the leadership position. And these people sometimes, due to certain perception of whether they are doing the right thing or wrong thing, there could be ruckus within the system about how they are managing the party. Now, what I've also witnessed, in my over 2 decades of working with political parties, is that sometimes it has to do with who is funding the party. If you have individuals, heavyweights, heavy donors, godfathers. I think I've discussed the issue of godfatherism in politics on this platform severally. And these godfathers will want to extract certain privileges, and there will always be pull and push. And this also can generate crisis. Some of the crises within the parties are actually externally motivated. We know in time past, and there are rumors that even in recent times, there are the ruling party within a state or at the national level sometimes sponsor crisis within the opposition, even though this has remained rumor and allegation. But sometimes you see that there are those who are fanning the ember of discord, doing it from outside, but using members within the party. But whatever may be the motive, it's like a family. A family of 5, 10, 20 will have their season of disagreement about certain things. Whatever the leadership does, if it's not satisfactory, there are those who want to state them. There are those who want to who say that they can do it better, and then the whole pull and push will commence. And sometimes these issues are resolved amicably within the party, or they resort to court for adjudication. And even the Electoral Management Body also have a directorate called ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution Directorate, where some of these squabbles or disagreements may be resolved if the parties themselves subject, if the parties at war or party in conflict subject themselves to the adjudication of the ADR system.
Thank you very much, Jide. Now to you, Yusuf. Of course, you heard what Jide talked about. Of course, you won't take away the fact that money is also part of the. But I also want to get your own perspective on this issue. At a time when we kind of want maybe a formidable, opposition, want parties to form a very strong front, so that we have, opposition that can stand and, hold the ruling party maybe accountable or so. Now we are having a series of crises here and there. I want you to also give us a perspective on these recurring crises in our parties.
Let me start by extending my greetings to my dear friend and brother Jide Ojo for laying the foundation for this discussion. You see, politics, some persons define politics as crisis management, and then some say it's conflict and conflict resolution. So conflict or crisis is inevitable part of politics or political management. But where it is becoming outrageous is when we say, okay, it is it calls for worry. The major one, there are so many factors. One is the funding of political parties. How are political parties funded? Today, we have a lot of proposal for Constitutional Electoral Act amendment. One of the things that the Inter-Party Advisory Council under my leadership have done is to recommend the restoration of funding for political parties. Because the parties are the mercy of the funders. So the man with the bigger pocket determines what happens in the party. And at the end of the day, he sees himself as above any other person in the party, so that his will must take precedence over the constitution of the party. So this will take us to constitutional breaches of the party, and then we'll now begin to live a crisis that somebody else who feel aggrieved will take it to court. So that is one. Secondly, politics today are predominantly the way political actors see it in so many cases. It is about the interests of the persons, not the interests of the people, not about service to the people that you are elected to serve. So, and because of that, the lucrativity or personal lucrativity of these offices, people try as much as possible to circumvent the rules. Okay, today, there are people who have been managing their political parties for the past 2 years, trying to fund, pay salaries, running costs, and other things. But maybe few months to election, you see political actors who want to come into the parties and change the status quo because they have interest, because they believe they have the money to fund the party from that point. So they will tell you to do anything that you can for the party to do what they want. And if you are not careful, the fact that you want the money to run your party, which of course you need, you will have to begin to do things that will be injurious to the interest and or constitution of the party. And then do or die tendency of our politicians. If I don't get it, nobody else. And also, I've been appealing, or we have been appealing to the judicial arm of the government. So many persons in the judiciary and even in the bar, both the bench and the bar, they are also partly responsible for some of the things that are happening in the party. Inability of some persons in the judiciary to say exactly what it is. So these are most of the things, but we try to do what we can where we are called to come in, or where we think we can come in, to see that parties abide by their own constitution. Because the populace, the electorate, will look at you. Now, okay, if you cannot manage the crisis in your party, how can you manage the larger society? So we try to see, please, do what you can at the highest level of decorum within the confines of the constitutional provision of your party.
Thank you very much, Yusuf. Now back to you, Yusuf mentioned something. He said the ability of some of the members of the bench and the bar not able to tell the politicians exactly the way it is. But sometimes we've seen cases where even when the lawyers are trying to explain, look, this is how it is, you say, go ahead, as long as, the person wants to fund this case. Just let us see how it goes. Probably they are hoping for magic to happen. So, Jide, I want you also to talk about this issue. Now, what is the way out here?
No, again, a belated congratulations to my elder brother in the studio, Alhaji Yusuf Dantale, who won his re-election, I think sometimes in November or December last year. I've not seen him since then to congratulate him formally. So I'm using this opportunity to do that. He's done extremely well for Interparty Advisory Council. His tenure has recorded landmark achievements. For instance, he's been able to give birth to a constitution for IPAC and also establish directorates which has ensured inclusion of all the vulnerable groups, whether women, youth, or persons with disabilities. And I commend him for that, which is why he won a re-election after his initial 2 years. But having said that, coming back to issue of judicial intervention in party crisis, I hold a different thought about how the judiciary has performed in resolving intra-party crisis. But for the judiciary, we will have been seeing anarchy. We will have, in fact, resolution of party crisis will have become like that of NURTW people. You know the way sometimes some of their state chapters operate, where they use violence to upstage one another. To the best of my knowledge, we need to commend the judiciary. You see, sometimes the judiciary will give an order. The parties in conflict will ignore. Let's take the issue of Labour Party. The case of Labour Party has gone up to Supreme Court. Supreme Court last year gave a judgment, not just a decision, a judgment. But what did we see? Different factions of the party were interpreting the decision of the judiciary to favor themselves. So this side says, oh, I'm the one, my tenure has not expired by virtue of what the Supreme Court said. The other faction say, oh, your tenure, go to page so of the judgment, your tenure has expired. Today, another decision has come. A case that has already been settled by Supreme Court, it has started de novo, and now another court of competent jurisdiction, a federal high court, has given a decision. Will that case go on appeal again? If it goes on appeal, when will there be end to litigation? I mean, there is always an internal conflict resolution mechanism within the party. But more often than not, rather than the dramatic personnel to subject themselves to that internal resolution mechanism. They rather go to court. And then you take your case to court. In court, one person is bound to win, one person is bound to lose. But as we have seen in life, even for those of us who went to school, someone fails a subject in school and he says the teacher has failed him. But if he passes, he will say he did very well in that subject. So we always don't want to admit our own failures. If the parties don't go to court will never advertise. Have you ever seen Eukarya? Have you ever seen a court advertising that people should come and bring matters to them? They are tired. They themselves are tired. Their dockets, the dockets of their lordship is full. They don't want all this litigation. They don't want all this conflict. That's why sometimes they advise the party to go through the ADR system. But when the party insisted, no, they are not going through ADR. They want the court to adjudicate on this matter. Meanwhile, political cases have snuffed as weighed heavily on the judiciary, because many of the political cases are time bound. For instance, if you want to determine case of somebody who is the appropriate candidate in an electoral contest, that thing has to be resolved in a timely manner. Well, maybe ahead of the election. If it doesn't get resolved ahead of the election, the person will not, none of the parties will be able to campaign effectively. And at the end of the day, the party will be the loser. So the point I'm trying to make is that parties themselves, as Dr. Dantale has said, parties themselves must be able to moderate their own affairs in such a manner that they don't eat up the polity. And that's why they have board of trustees. Before you come to National Executive Committee, before the National Working Committee, before you now get to the State Working Committee, to the local government, to the ward, sometimes they have zonal committees. So why can't the board of trustees play that mediatory role? Or if they don't want to do it within the party, go to the INEC to assess the ADR mechanism free of charge. To the best of my knowledge, INEC will not even charge you money, but rather they are the one that goes to court. And when decisions are made by the court, they claim that the judges are either induced to give judgment one way or the other. But it's like calling a dog a bad name in order to hang it.
Thank you very much, Julia. But we are going to take a short break now. This conversation will continue shortly. Okay, we are going ahead with the conversation. I will just ask to go ahead with the conversation. Now, Yusuf, of course, we've had so much that GD has to say there about these reoccurring crises. Now, it's of course been said like from one of the things he mentioned also, weak internal democracy is also one of the problems. So how do we strengthen the party's internal democracy, where party members, politicians gather together and they agree on something in the party? At the end of the day, the same group of people are working against what they've agreed. So how do we strengthen internal party democracy?
Experiences differ. Here he is right, because that's the experience that he has. As a party manager, I have a different experience. He said, yes, the courts will not advertise bring your cases, but we have situations where we're approached that bring this, bring that. We can do this, we can do that. Somebody will take, like in Edo, for instance, after the governorship election, we congratulated the governor. The next thing I had is that the party is in court. Who took the party to court? I don't know. You understand? Same thing in Anambra. After the governorship election, we congratulated Charles Soludo of ABGA, but from nowhere, somebody came. With the same ABGA, for instance, we have a situation where somebody just went to court because he believed he had a deeper pocket to take over the leadership of the party, when he's not even a member of that party. When the person was defeated from that place, he ran to another court again, took over another party, gave some people money, and they went to court again that he's the national chairman of that party. So we have seen cases, we see cases like this. So, but yes, or predominantly, it is the most importantly, it is the action of the actors. But then the judicial officers, I repeat, or I maintain, have their own issues. Not all of them, but a lot of them are. There are things I won't be able to say on air. So it is a systemic.
Before you continue, are you going to stop somebody from seeking redress in court?
No,
really?
You can't. What I'm saying, somebody who just come from nowhere. He has no stake in the party. He's not a member, nothing. You just take the party to court. Don't take it to court. We are seeing it. During Professor Mahmoud, we had this case, and I told him, I said, no, I'm going to come. I want, as IPAC chairman, I'm going to intervene here publicly and tell this who is. And I said, what? He said, well, I said, no, sir. It's a family. I have to say it, and I did say it. But at the end of the day, after some time, the man lost in court. But today again, I heard that from nowhere, the person wrote something and went, people who feel we can, okay, look at in APGA, for instance. There are so many of these things that somebody who is not a member of the party believe that, okay, I have the money, I can go to a friendly court, in court, give them money, and they give me judgment. It's happening.
So what are you recommending?
What I'm recommending is, it is appeal to all of us as Nigerians. We all have our roles to play. The political class, we have our role to play. Ensure you abide by the constitution of your party. And we're also appealing to the National Assembly, who is responsible for amendment of the Constitutional Electoral Act, to see how they can reverse the withdrawal of subvention from political parties, so that parties can on their own drive some of their activities expenditure-wise. Because where you have to look for somebody who have deeper pockets to sponsor the party, it will be difficult for you to say no to him when the person wants some certain things done, even against the constitution of the party. So it is difficult, but it's possible. So all these things, because Nigeria have endured 25 years of democracy, it's kudos to Nigerians. We tried. So, but why there's no government as or no form of administration that's better than the government that is chosen by the people. So we have to see what we can do to make the system better. In as much as we are not where we want to be, but we are not where we used to be. Well, we can do better. I will continue to do it.
Okay, now, Jide, in 30 seconds, of course, we know all the issues, we know all the problems. So, but we are preferring a solution. What is the way forward? What are your recommendations, for us to end this, series and the recurring party crisis? Because certainly it's not good for our democracy.
Definitely, it's not good for our democracy. And as you have rightly said, the solution lies in rule of law. Rule of law has three pillars: supremacy of the law, equality before the law, and fundamental human rights. So parties must establish and live by their party constitution, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Electoral Act, and even the guidelines that the parties themselves have given to themselves. When you deviate from the rule of law, when there is no internal party democracy, that's when the party is in crisis. I agree with Dr. Deltale that, a section of the judiciary may be corrupt, particularly the lower rung of the ladder. But that's why there are appellate courts. So you could see how the court has saved the day in many political disputes. Look at the NNPP gubernatorial election of 2023. The fact that NNPP won at the Supreme Court was...
Very much. I will have to stop you here. Because I really wish we had more time to talk about it. I know there are quite a lot of things to talk about, but thank you very much, Jide Ojo, a public affairs analyst. Thank you so much for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts with us.
My pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Cheers.
Thank you. And also here in the studio, we have Yusuf Mamandanta, Laser National Chairman, Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for being part of the program Nigeria Today. I'm Eukaria Clinton. Goodbye.